The first time, it was just a bad dream. The clock on the wall glowed a malevolent red. 3 a.m. A familiar, crushing weight settled in my chest, the kind of existential dread that only the deepest, most silent hours of the night can conjure. I squeezed my eyes shut, wrestled with the formless anxiety, and forced myself back into the suffocating embrace of sleep. Then it happened again. My eyes snapped open. 3 a.m. The same dread, the same silence, a loop, a glitch in the matrix of my own mind. I repeated the ritual: shut eyes, deep breaths, pray for dawn. The third time, the loop shattered. I woke up, the red digits burning into my retinas. 3 a.m. But something was wrong. The room, once my own, felt alien. The gentle curve of the lampshade was now a harsh angle. The familiar pattern on the wallpaper had morphed into a dizzying, unfamiliar design. A cold sweat prickled my skin. This wasn't my room anymore. "It's a dream," I whispered, the words sounding hollow in the oppressive quiet. "Just a dream." I swung my legs out of bed, my feet hitting the cold, unfamiliar wood of the floor. I had to prove it. I stumbled towards the window, my heart hammering against my ribs. Outside, a relentless rain fell, silver sheets illuminated by a distant, unseen light. I fumbled with the latch, pushed the window open, and thrust my hand into the downpour. The water was cold, real. Each drop was a tiny, shocking impact against my skin. It was too real. The sensation sent a jolt of pure terror through me. If this was real, then where was I? Panic set in. I spun around and lunged for the door, my hand closing around the cold brass of the knob. I twisted. Nothing. It was locked solid. I rattled it, my movements growing more frantic. It wouldn't budge. Defeated, I turned back to the window, hoping to see a familiar street, a landmark, anything. Instead, my eyes locked onto a figure standing motionless in the middle of the empty road, utterly drenched. It was a shoebill, a massive, prehistoric-looking bird, its eyes fixed directly on me, its eyes like chips of obsidian in the rain-streaked darkness. "No, it can't be," I muttered, a hysterical laugh bubbling in my throat. "This has to be a dream. It has to be." As I backed away from the window, my foot slipped on the wet floor. I crashed to the ground, my head hitting the wood with a dull thud. From under the edge of a dusty armchair, something skittered across the floor, coming to rest beside my hand. A pistol. Black, heavy, and terrifyingly real. A dark, insidious thought slithered into my mind. A way out. An end to the loop. The confusion. The terror. My hand, seemingly with a will of its own, closed around the gun's grip. It felt cold. Solid. I checked the clock on the wall. Still 3 a.m. With a trembling hand, I raised the pistol to my temple. My finger tightened on the trigger. I closed my eyes and fired. A deafening bang echoed through the room. My ears rang, but there was no pain, no impact, nothing. I opened my eyes, my hand still pressed to my head. I was fine. The bullet had passed through me like a ghost. A small, neat hole was now visible in the wall behind where I stood. It was a dream. It had to be. A wave of relief, so powerful it almost brought me to my knees, washed over me. It was all just a nightmare. A grim curiosity took hold. I turned back to the window, the shoebill still standing there, a silent, feathered sentinel. I raised the pistol again, took aim, and fired. This time, the result was different. A spray of blood erupted from the bird's chest. It crumpled to the ground, a dark heap in the rain. Shock, cold and sharp, pierced through my relief. I had killed it. In my dream, I had killed a real thing. I glanced at the clock. 3 a.m. The red digits mocked me. My mind raced, trying to piece together the fragments of this impossible reality. I started searching the room, desperate for a clue. I found a stack of papers on a desk I didn't own. They were business documents filled with figures and legal jargon I didn't understand. They were all addressed to a name, Arthur Finch. Not my name. Who was Arthur Finch? How did I end up in his room? The terror returned, a suffocating wave. I raised the gun to my head again. 1, 2, 3, 4 times I pulled the trigger. Each time the gun roared. The bullet passed harmlessly through me, and a new hole appeared in the wall behind where I stood. I could see the holes in my own spectral form, dark voids in my chest and head, yet I felt nothing. I rushed to the window, clawing at the frame, but now I saw the thick metal grills I hadn't noticed before. Escape was impossible. I threw myself at the door again, banging my fists against the solid wood, screaming until my throat was raw. There was no response. Only the sound of my own ragged breaths and the steady drumming of the rain. In the distance, I heard the mournful wail of a train whistle, followed by the rhythmic clatter of wheels on a track. It was a sound of the world moving on, a world I was no longer a part of. Was this room in some run-down, forgotten apartment building by a rail line? Exhausted, I gave up. I tried to lie down, to sleep, to force the nightmare to end, but sleep wouldn't come. I was trapped in this state of waking horror. A dark stain on the floorboards near the bed caught my eye. I knelt, my fingers tracing the edge of the rug. I lifted it. Underneath, a large, dark patch of dried blood stained the wood. It was old, but unmistakable. And in that moment, I understood. The unfamiliar room, the locked door, the gun, the name that wasn't mine. This wasn't my dream. This was Arthur Finch's room. This was where he died. And the blood was mine. I wasn't a ghost, haunting his room. I was the ghost he had left behind. The clock on the wall still read 3 a.m. It always would. I was trapped forever. You were listening to the story 3 a.m., written by Titas, narrated by Gemini.